guys, this is a bit of a weird video for us because, as you might know, neither Gretchen nor I are very big TBR people. We don't like to set books that we have to read, but spring break is coming up for Gretchen. It's just a normal week for me. Damn it, real world. But we have books that we're excited to read. I'm going to talk about books that I have sort of higher up on my TBR because, of course, all of the books I have, the books from the library, the ARCs I have, those are all things that I need to read and soonish, but these are sort of at the top of that pile because of different reasons, usually involving we want to make a video about something and I need to read the thing if we want to do that. Whereas Gretchen is going on vacation and will have all the time to read all of the things. So she has that to show you. But these are some of the books that you might be seeing soonish because they're high on our TBRs.
So right at this moment, since we are pre-recording this video, I am road tripping around California, hopefully on my way to Seattle with one of my best friends, Rachel, who you may remember if you saw some early Bibliomancy for Beginners episodes. However, due to the fact that I am flying to and from LA and also road tripping, that means a bunch of time that is like downtime that I can read, so I'm really excited. And I'm gonna briefly go into my top two books, because you'll recognize both of them as things that I should have read forever ago. And the first one, even though this is my ugly library copy, is Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel. Yes, I haven't read this book yet, even though Taylor and Michaela have both read it because this is our next Imbibliomancy book. Yes, this Imbibliomancy episode should have happened forever ago. It didn't because my life is hell. I am the last one to read this book, and I need to get it done so that we can do this Imbibliomancy episode right after I get back. So look forward to that. The second book that I should have read forever ago is Get in Trouble by Kelly Link. You may remember that a little while ago, this was Michaela's pick for a 30 seconds to disagree video we did, and basically in that video I started shouting, I know that I should read this book, I couldn't disagree with her because Taylor gave this to me last semester. He even gave me these little Dalek stickies to tell me which stories he thought I would like because when Bibliomancy did our hangout on her Magic for Beginners anthology, I was not a fan, and he was like, well, you'll be a fan of this. But I haven't read it yet. So I have promised him that I will take good care of this as I bring it along on my travels so that I can finally get it read and get his book back to him.
You might remember, because we've mentioned it in a couple videos, that Gretchen is the intern for a festival on the Ithaca College campus called the New Voices Literary Festival. The young adult author that is coming to that festival is Kristen Page Madonia, and she wrote this book, Fingerprints of You. Gretchen needs to read it beforehand so that she can talk to her about that. I said I would read it with her because it has some teen pregnancy in it, and Gretchen's not a fan of teen pregnancy stories. So you can definitely expect a joint review of this one coming up at some point, which is why it is on this list. Needs to be read so we can talk about it.
I'm just going to show off my copy of Fingerprints of You. Right after that, I have the paperback. It's so pretty. So pretty. But yes, it's on my list too, but I'm not going to dwell on it because Michaela just introduced it very well. So there's no need. So the third book on my list is an ARC that I need to have read by April 1st. And I figured no better time like the present while I actually have time. And that is Tell the Wind and Fire by Sarah Reese Brennan. I am so excited to have this book because I've met Sarah in person and I love her and I love her books. And I'm really excited to have this ARC, but I haven't had a chance to read it yet. And like I said, I'm planning to have that review come out around April 1st, right before it comes out. So I should read it. Sounds like spring break reading to me.
My next book is a library book, which means that I sort of have a time crunch on when I have to have this read by. I hauled it in my last book haul, which was a couple weeks ago, back in February, where I talked about the books I got from the library. This is Neverwhere by Neil Gaiman. This is like my 5th or 6th Gaiman that I'm going to be reading. A lot of people say this is their favorite, so I'm excited to pick this one up, more than some of the other library books that I have that might possibly be going back unread because I just haven't had a lot of time lately. Oh no. Good thing about libraries, though, I can always check them out again. This is about a London where there's sort of an underground London with people who are invisible. One man stumbles across an injured girl on the street, and she's part of that underground London, and suddenly the people who could see him can't, and he becomes part of this underground London. So let's see how that turns out.
Maybe you saw our last weekly wrap-up. Maybe you didn't. Either way, I'm still gonna freak out because I have my copy of Lady Midnight by Cassandra Clare. This is Claire's 9th book, I think, because there's 6 Mortal Instruments and 3 Infernal Devices. Well, and then if you count the Bane Chronicles and the Shadowhunter Academy, which are technically a collection of short stories that she wrote with other people. But anyways, this is her next book, and it just came out on the Tuesday before I left, and I pre-ordered it, and it's lovely. It is, instead of going back in time like the Infernal Devices did, this is a couple years after the events of the Mortal Instruments, and it involves some characters that you saw in the Mortal Instruments, but I really don't want to talk about them in case you haven't read that series, and I don't want to spoil anything that comes after that. But, like, I'm really excited. I don't know if you can tell, but this is also my Pop Sugar pick for a book over 600 pages because it is huge as hell. And I'm so excited because it's a lot of Cassandra Clare. And even though this is like my 4th book on the list, it'll probably be the first one that I read because, oh my god, guys! Cassandra Clare!
My next book is Cloud Atlas by David Mitchell. I have had this book on my shelves for maybe 3 years now? 2 years? 3? No, 3 years because it's when I was living in the dorms. It was after I was living with you, but it was when I was living in the dorms I bought this book, and I have not read it. And, I know I'm gonna love it, because it's got an interesting structure, and lots of people have things to say about this one, and it's got a lot of fame and such around it. Multiple narratives kind of involving reincarnation, travels through times with, like, the stories being, like, stuck one inside the other, so the first one starts, and then the second one starts, and the third one starts, and it goes into until the middle where you get the whole story, and then you start getting the ends of all of those stories all the way back out to the first one, which is the end of the last one. And that sounds great to me, so I need to read that.
This next book showcases just how little time I've had for reading recently, and that is because the next book on my list is Glass Sword by Victoria Aveyard. This is the sequel to The Red Queen, which you might have seen. It made a lot of waves in the blogosphere, and honestly, I picked it up. I wasn't going to pick up The Red Queen, but then over the summer, one of the kids that I was TAing in a fantasy and writing camp was saying that if I liked Throne of Glass, I would really like this series, and I found Red Queen to be very, very trope subversive, which was really, really great for me, and this is the sequel. The basic concept is that there is this world where there are people with 2 kinds of blood, either red or silver, and if you're silver blood, you have special powers and you're part of the nobility, and if you have red blood, then you're just like a normal person and you're a commoner and stuff like that. But the main character has red blood, but she has special abilities, so she's kind of in the middle and some weird new kind of person thing. Yes, you can kind of guess where the plot goes from there, but I promise that if you pick it up, the plot will also go places that you do not expect, which is why I love it so much, and I'm really excited to read this book. I got it, I pre-ordered it, and so it came to me the day it came out in February, and I still haven't read it, so really excited to finally get to this one, even though I hear there's a monster of a cliffhanger coming. So,
my next pick was actually a birthday present from Taylor, and I have not read it yet, and this was a couple years ago as well. I think 2 years now. Not as bad. This is the first 15 lives of Harry August. This is a story about a man who, on his deathbed, always decides to start his life over and try and change things, and it almost always goes exactly the same until his 11th life. So that sounds super interesting, and I haven't picked it up yet, and I should read it. And Taylor's probably watching this video and saying, of all of the books I've said you should read, Michaela, this is the one you pick? And I say, yes, this one comes first.
The final book on my TBR for this spring break is another anthology, and that is My Mother, She Killed Me, My Father, He Ate Me, 40 New Fairy Tales, edited by Katie Bernheimer. This is the final anthology for that class that Taylor and I are taking together, and we've already both read 10 stories apiece from this. Not all the same stories, but we've generally decided that this is by far the best anthology that we've read, and it has the most imaginative, amazing fairy tale based stories in it. And so you can be sure that you will see us both reviewing this after we both actually read more through it, because like I said, this is 40 short stories in here. So it's going to take a little bit more time, but it's going to be so worth it. And if you like fairy tales, look forward to that, because I am honestly super excited to read this, and I'm not really big on short story anthologies. So if you like fairy tales, like imaginative writing and interesting writing and unique ways of putting a story together, don't even wait for my review. Just go get it, because from the 10 that I've read, it's already way worth it.
You might have noticed that my last couple books had a theme of reincarnation, and the next one, The Incarnations by Susan Barker, also does. This is because Gretchen and I want to do a Betwixt the Books Recommends video where we talk about books that have reincarnation in them. I need to read these 3 for that. Oops. We were supposed to do that this month, but it looks like it's going to take a while, because while Gretchen is road tripping and has all the time, I maybe can read one of these next week. It's going to take me a little bit more time to get through the rest of these. This one I don't know much about. I picked it up from the library. It was on my TBR. It's a literary fiction book. I know that it has to do with Chinese mythology a little bit, and Chinese characters, I believe, so I speak Chinese a little bit. Obviously, it interested me. This is what's happening. That's why I'm reading it. Things I should have done before and didn't.
So there you have it, guys. Our spring break TBR. Well, my spring break. Michaela's I've been abandoned by Gretchen period of time. Will we actually read all of these? Who knows? I'm more likely to do it than Michaela, because like she said, I'm road tripping and just like flying opposite ends of the country, which is very long plane rides. So this is why you should follow us on Goodreads, is to see what we're actually reading and what order we actually read it in and how much we actually get done. Obviously, when we come back, there will be a whole weekly wrap-up where we talk about what we read, and while Michaela will have done one on her own, I will be back with like 2 weeks worth of books. So I'm really excited to give you guys all the new reviews and ideas and thoughts on all of these books. And like we've said, at least one joint review will come out of this, plus our reincarnation reads list, which I've already read all mine for. So look forward to that, and I can't wait until I am back with you guys on the East Coast. Thanks, guys. Bye.